Hi there, Jason with TechSmith. I'm going to make some quick assumptions about the content you're looking to create. I'm going to assume that you have some recorded lectures that you've already recorded, the videos are ready to go, and you're confident in their capabilities. Or maybe you have a PowerPoint presentation, either that's been recorded as a video or as slides that you want to turn into a video. I also know that there's a good chance that you want to create videos much quicker and with some consistency so that you've branded yourself so that the students or faculty or whoever you're delivering content to knows it's one of your videos or that it's part of a series. Well, we can do that with Camtasia, and it's actually fairly easy to do. And it actually relies on a lot of things that are built into Camtasia already. In this video, I'm going to teach you about theming, using existing assets inside Camtasia, customizing those assets, and adding them to a project to save as a template for consistent video creation. Let's start with theming. Themes in Camtasia allow you to take basic tools like annotations and any of the pre-built assets and quickly apply a colorway or a font style right to it by using the drop down here and choosing a theme. For example, I will use the TechSmith theme and it immediately changes it to our yellow color. But that's not the colorway that you'd want to use. So let's show you how easy it is to create your own styled theme. First, I'm going to bring an item into my media bin that I have stored on my computer. To do this, I'm simply going to click Import Media, and I'm going to locate where that item is here on my folder. There it is, the arrow that I want to use. And the reason I have it on my screen is because since I'm not a designer, I want access to these colors. So to create a theme, I'm going to go to File, Manage Themes. And it brings up our Theme Manager. To create a brand new theme from scratch, I'm going to click the plus button and I'm going to name my theme. And my theme name is going to be Generic University. And from here, it actually brings in a series of colors, but I can control all the colors at any point I want. So my foreground color, which is reflected here as text, I'm going to leave as a nice white color. For background, I'm going to change it to really stay in tune with the colors of my arrow I have over here in my media bin. To do this, I select the drop-down menu and I choose the color picker tool. And then all I need to do is hover over the color I want to select. In this case, I'm going to select this blue color, click it, and now the background color has been assigned to that blue color. I do this with all the colors in the theme that I want to utilize. In case we got a blue, a green, and then for my accent color, I'm going to choose that middle green right here. Okay. So this gives me a little bit of a preview of what the color would look like based on the theme that I have created. Well, I also want to use a specific font. And in this case, I'm going to choose the Font tab. And I'm going to use one of my favorite fonts, which is this Muso Sans 500. So that means whenever I add anything that has text associated with it, it'll automatically apply this font to it when I apply the theme. And then I want to use the logo capability of the theme manager. So I'm going to click on Logo. And then all I need to do is browse my computer for wherever that logo happens to be stored. In this case, I know it's sitting here on my desktop. So I'm going to select it and choose Open. And now I have this logo ready to go. So I've applied colors, a font, and logo based on an existing image to create a theme that we've called Generic University. So when I click Save, and I choose any item in Camtasia that I want to apply a theme to, in this case, I have a call out on my screen. Wherever there's a theme dropdown, I should be able to click that dropdown and choose the theme I created. In this case, Generic University. So a theme is a great way to start building consistency with your videos, because now, with Camtasia 2020 especially, whenever I'm in a tool like the annotations tool, I can still use any of my callouts that I'd like, but I can actually see what they'll look like based on the theme I created by using the theme drop down here. And now, just like that, I can grab any of those callouts and they will maintain that same themed color consistency based on the theme dropdown. Pretty nice. Now let's lean on Camtasia a little bit more, and that is by using some of the built-in assets that come free with Camtasia. In this case, we're going to go into our library and choose the Camtasia 2020 library. There is a drop-down menu here with any other libraries you may have built, but for this example, I want to use Camtasia 2020. Inside of this library, there's actually 3 folders I want to draw your attention to. The intros folder, the lower thirds, and the outros. That's because the items in each of these folders are customizable. Let me show you an example. First, I'm going to clear everything off of my canvas, and I'm going to pick an intro from this drop-down menu. I'm partial to the state intro, so we're going to add that one to our project here by clicking and dragging it down onto track number 1. And we'll zoom in for a little bit of detail. Now, when you play this video back with this intro on the screen, you'll see some colors, you'll see some text, and you'll even see the Camtasia icon. Well, because it's customizable, I simply need to make sure it's selected like it is, and I come over to the Properties panel on the right. This tab at the top is showing me the quick property assets, or the customizable part of this intro piece of media. I can not only change the titling, the logo, the colors, and the shapes, but because I've already created a theme, I can use the drop-down theme menu, choose the one we created, Generic University, and with one click, the logo has been changed, the colors have been changed, and the text matches the font that I wanted it to be. So if I wanted to change the title to something, let's say Science 101, I can do it that way, and then I could change the subtitle to maybe Professor Vlad. Note, I am not a professor. I can do that really simply. And then I can take this asset that we just customized, this state intro, and I can save it for future use. And there's a couple ways I can do it. One way is to simply right-click on it, choose Add to Library, and rename it for future use to be able to pull out of my library. But there's another way to do it, and that is by using something new to Camtasia 2020 called templates. And that's going to allow us to take a couple of different aspects that we've already built and combine them into one template for use. So far, we've created this intro sequence that has our title on it and our colors. And of course, anytime I click on it, I can customize it over in the Properties panel. The next thing I would add is something called a placeholder. And a placeholder allows me to put a holder on the timeline to enter media in later. Remember, we talked about having existing content, maybe a video you've already shot, maybe a PowerPoint presentation you want to use later. To add a placeholder to our video, all we need to do is hit the hotkey, the letter P. And when I push P, I have a placeholder dropped here on my timeline. And the placeholder is exactly that. It allows me to hold the place on the timeline. Because it has customizable asset availability to it as well, I can come over to the Properties panel and give myself a little bit more direction. Maybe instead of placeholder, I'm going to put screen recording. And that'll remind me that that's where I want to have a screen recording put. I could also give myself notes, use fall class content. That way I know I have a note for myself to put content in there from the fall. As we zoom out on our timeline, we'll see that there's a little note icon at the end of the placeholder. That's showing me that I have some sort of notes for myself, in this case, that use fall class content. One of the most powerful things about the placeholders, in my opinion, is that they hold the properties of any sort of changes you make to them. In this case, maybe I want to go up to my transition tool and use the cube rotate transition. So if I click and drag that transition down onto the placeholder, it has a cube rotation associated with it now. So it rotates in, and at the end of the content, it rotates out. Just gives it a nice little polish. And then later on, when I want to replace this media by simply clicking on something in my media bin or in my library and clicking and dragging it on to that screen recording placeholder, when it turns green, it replaces it. That transition has been applied to whatever media I put in that placeholder. It's pretty cool. Let's undo that so we have the placeholder back on our screen. And I can add as many placeholders as I want to a project. So let's add one more here by hitting the letter P. And we'll change this placeholder to, let's call this syllabus. And just like before, I can add the same sort of transitions if I'd like. In this case, we'll just go with the same cube rotation. And now I have an intro to my video. I have a couple of placeholders for myself so that I know what content I want in there. And now for my sake, I'd like to put a outro. So there are outros built in the Camtasia 2020 library, but for consistency's sake, I simply click on the intro I used down here at the beginning, right click, copy, and then I paste it at the end. So I now have the same intro and outro in the video that I've already applied that theme to, and then all I need to do is change out the title sequence and the lower subtitle if I so choose. Maybe, projects are due Friday. Projects due Fridays. Reach out for questions. Okay. And then all of a sudden, my video has the customized introduction, a placeholder here for screen recording or whatever I choose it to be, a placeholder here for the syllabus or whatever I choose it to be, and a customizable outro. The last couple things I would do for this video to turn it into a template is to lean on a couple of more tools inside of Camtasia. First, I want to eliminate these gaps because right now I have these things pretty spread out and there's gaps in between the media. Well, to fix the gaps, I simply turn on track magnetization over here on the left-hand side by clicking the magnet icon. It snaps everything together and leaves it all nice and tight for my videos. And then to save it as a template, I would go up to File, Save Project as Template, and that'll bring up the template manager. And I simply need to name that template whatever I'd like it to be. Quick note, wherever your playhead is at that time, it will create a thumbnail for your video from that point on. So for us, let's move our playhead back to the beginning maybe to show what the intro slide looks like. We'll do File, Save Project as Template. I'm going to name this one Science and hit OK. Camtasia now tells me that this template has been added to the template manager, which means anytime I want to come into Camtasia and create a video based on this template, which we can do right now, we'll just go to create a new project here. We would go to File, Manage Templates, or File, New Project from Template, and simply choose the template we created. Now videos can be made from one to the next with a great amount of consistency based on a little bit of work we did up front. I hope you found this useful. If there's anything else we can help you with in terms of your classroom in Camtasia, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks.